All right, guys, trying to explain Serum 2 was half impossible because there's so much about Serum 2. The best way I can show you guys how to use Serum 2 and what's inside is to actually use it for sound design. So in this video, you're going to watch me sound design from scratch right inside of Serum 2. And we're going to build a bunch of sounds here, and you guys will get the Serum presets for free. Just go to busyworksbeats.com/FL Studio. I'll leave a link below. So let's open up Serum 2. Serum 2 is probably going to be the most game-changing plugin that in the next 10 years, if I had to guess. I don't know what could happen in the next 10 years with AI, but this, as far as what we've been waiting for, is what we've been waiting for. This is the plugin. It's more than synthesis. It's sampling. It's granular synthesizing. It's so much stuff. So first, I'm just going to go through. Let's create some retro sounds for like the weekend. Let's pull the randomness down of the phase, and let's just offset the phase to some random amount. I like doing this because then I'll add oscillator B, and I'll do like a small amount of randomness, and then I won't mess with the phase. I'll just offset it initially. I like this because it creates some phase clashing, which adds more of a noisy tone and without detuning. Also, I want to create like a momentary detune. So let's go to envelope 2, grab that over the fine tune, and I'll pay him one left, one right. We're only using one voice here. So our ear detects the differences. So even with two saw teeth, it sounds very noisy. So let's create some depth here. Let's go to the drop down here where it says M. You would think that's a mute tool, but it's the output. So let's go here. Let's go to bus 1. We're going to send this stuff to bus 1, and I'll show you guys how to set an envelope on bus 1. Let's go to the effects. We can now isolate the effects on different sounds by sending them to buses. Okay, so there's presets here if you guys want to use presets. Me, I'm going to go to the effects. I like chorus, I like delay, and reverb. And what I want to do here is turn the mix level down to 0. And then we're going to automate this with envelope 3. Let's right click, mod source, envelope 3. What this means is that envelope 3 will determine how the mix level of these effects work. So we can give it a decay curvature, meaning that it will turn on and turn off based on envelope 3, basically allowing us to truncate the effects. So let's send this stuff to the bus, and let's make sure this bus, let me turn off the main out. Let's go to the mixer here. Let's turn these down. And now we can start to hear those effects. Let's turn up the bus effects. There we go. I didn't realize the chorus was down. So now we have some depth on the sound. We can go back to our mixer now and start turning stuff down. I just couldn't hear it. So again, when I let go of the keys, it turns that reverb and chorus off. So it's a really unique sound. Now, one of my other favorite techniques is to go to Matrix, go to Notes on Alternative, and modulate a pan source. In this case, A. We want a bipolar, so it's left and right panning. Now, because let's just set this back to centered. Because now we're going to do the same exact thing here. Note on alternative. This time the opposite direction and controlling the B panning. So basically they're swapping sides. Now again, this saw's a little bitey. We could modulate this with the filter. So let's go to filter 1, turn this on. Set this to have a filter output. And let's make filter 2 just a little bit different than filter 1. So I have a muffled filter on the left, brighter filter on the right. Let's give envelope 1, which is our main amplitude. Let's turn sustain off, give it just a decay curvature. So right now it's kind of quiet because I have a filter on it. So now we have this super crazy big sound. Let's also add compressor, multiband mode to really pull out those effects. And now we're gonna go back to the mixer and just turn down the bus so it's not eating the entire sound there. Kind of like, I don't like the compressor. So what we can do now is just left click to turn off the effects, which is a very fast workflow. What else is there to do for the sound? Let's grab an LFO. Let's drag that over top of the LFO. The oscillator A, fine tune. Remember, we have the envelope over the oscillator B, but let's add the LFO for more of a vibrato type. So also make this a hertz value of like 3 hertz. Only other thing I could think to do with the sound is just simply make it brighter. Let's do one more thing. Let's add oscillator C, turn the level off. Let's switch the wavetable to a sine wave, and let's modulate each one of these waveforms, frequency from C, frequency modulate. So now we're adding a little more harmonic in here. Now we'll make it buzzy depending on how much frequency modulation. Let's do a lower octave. Alright, it just creates too much of a lasery sound. Let's be weird, combine this with a multi-sample. Let's just combine it with like a pluck. I feel like the pluck is too soft for this. Now we're blending organic sounds with synthetic sounds, so let's go to synth sound maybe. Now we gotta watch the mix here because now everything's trying to be loud. I feel like it's too much buzz. I do like this sound. I feel like we would just have to level B. This one's very lasery sounding. And again, we have the mixer when stuff gets too loud. Okay, so I could probably keep messing with the sound. I think we have arrived at the final sound. Let's just save this. Let's save it into, what's today? 2025, March 19th. Let's call this pad sawish. It's kind of sawish. Okay, let's start from 0. Now let's try messing with a sample. Let's grab just a random sample here, like Coop the Truth. One shot, let's just drag this in. Now we have to switch it to sample mode and then drag this one shot in. Now we can do cool stuff like pitch this up 2 octaves. Set the start points here to prevent any gaps in the audio. We can right click and fade the edges so it doesn't have any clicking. We could also reverse the sample. We could trim the sample. Let me see if it auto trims. Okay, so we could just right click to trim the sample to get rid of any gaps. We could also, let's see here. Let's go to forward backward looping and let's, create an area where it goes forward and backward. So now it reverses. Let's create crossfade so it doesn't click. Now let's do weird things. Let's create the panning for this, but let's make it random per note. So let's go to matrix, note on random this time. And let's go to destination, oscillator A panning. So now every time I hit a note, it just randomly goes left to right. This will make it feel like unison without adding a bunch of other voices. Let's create that aux. Let's go to the bus, send it to bus 1. Let's add some chorus, mix level all the way up. Delay, do the same kind of technique. Reverb, mix level up. Right click, actually I did it the backwards way. Turn these down. And see how the things loop randomly depending on when you play the note. So it sounds like this continuous loop. This continuously offset loop. Let's go to mod source, envelope 3. We're gonna modulate each one of these mix levels so that we can truncate these effects. Let's add a little sustain so that we can hold the note. Hold the effects, Let's send more of the sound to the bus. Let's make this reverb bigger. Let's add more spin or modulation. Give it more delay feedback. Not sure what that click noise is. So I don't know what that click noise is. It could be the fact that the reverb just kind of kicks on. It's my guess. Oh, it looks like it clipped. That's why. Okay, never mind. It was a clipping thing. I had the range too wide, I guess. Pull this back. Let's see if it's just. Again, I don't know what's causing the clipping. Couldn't tell you. All right, so we can drag in different samples with the same processing. Now we can see the difference in the sample. Whoa. Personally, I like that bass. This was easier to deal with. Let's add some unison. Pretty cool sound. Okay, now what else can we do? My ear wants to hear more stuff, so let's add. Now, Sawtooth kind of takes away all the attention from the other sound. So let's go to a sample. Let's try the same sample, but just doing something different about it. Let's make this reverse loop only. Crossfade, create a different area. Let's do 4 octaves up and let's modulate it. It's gonna be weird by itself. So I'm not hearing the frequency modulation on the sound. I don't know if it works with. Oh, there it is. Just gotta turn it up. There we go. Let's send the sound through the filter. Let's do filter 2. And let's give it some weird filter. Let's go to miscellaneous. Let's go to distorted comb filter. So the sound has just become its own thing now. Let's add some compression on the main part. Let's blend this in. I can't figure out what that little clicky noise is. I'm sure it's something simple. It might just be the noise of the sample. I don't know, it's hard to tell. Really trying to figure out that click noise is. I think it's just the artifacts of time stretching. That's my guess. So it definitely adds a noise. I just can't figure out what that could be outside of that. Let's create an envelope for this. Again, I don't know where that subtle noise is coming from. My guess again is, I keep saying the same thing, but I think it's because the effects mix level goes from like nothing to something. That's my only guess really about that. Let's give the envelope 3 more attack. Maybe that'll get rid of that click. Okay, so at this point it's just like tone more than anything. Okay, so we kind of lost that the first vibe, so I wouldn't save that per se, but it was worth going down that lane. Let's try let's do some wavetable stuff here. All right, for this, let's actually go to, let's see if we can do this. Firstly, let's go to either a multi-sample. Let's go to a multi-sample. Let's go to a factory. Let's go to choir, for example. Let's try to warp this using, I always mix these up. Let me figure out which category it's under first. Let's go to, is it distortion? Oh, you know, maybe we don't have it for this one, but there's a mode called quantize. It may be turned off for, I was just trying to see if that was possible. So it might be turned off for this style, which makes sense. Let me switch it back to a wavetable, see which category that would be under. So it should be under distortion. Where is quantize mode? Okay, it's under alternative warp. Okay, that's why. So if we go to here, we don't have the miscellaneous. So in this case, we can't do what I wanted to do. But let's try some phase distortion, and let's do from B, turn B on, turn the operator off, level off. So we were getting phase distortion, I think, in my last sample we were making. That's what caused that click. Probably, most likely. So we're moving the starting point of the actual waveform using another waveform, which I don't know the math behind that. So that's why you hear clicks, because it's changing the phase, which causes click, because now the starting point's changing. Worth a try. I was hoping that it had quantized. That would have been like basically a downsample mode. Let's switch single. Maybe we could do it in the sampler mode. Let's see. No. Okay. Worth the try though. Let's do reverse loop. And let's go to effects. Let's try some main effects here. I really like the bode effect. I don't even know how to describe this. It's like a quick delay and reverb at the same, or chorus at the same time. I think it creates two different points and pitch bends them from each other. Now we have a really unique tone of the sound. Let's add some compression here. Level it out a little bit. Let's add some chorus to widen it back out. I like the sound up until that high frequency, and that's why multi-samples are so important, because you guys hear it sounds good with the all. But the second you hit a high note, it just sounds stretched, and that's why multi-samples are important, and that's why I love the new Serum, because now when I play those high notes, it doesn't feel as stretched. You know, it could probably be more deeply sampled, but it feels like it's still playing on. I don't even think it's triggering the multi-sample. How do we... I feel like it's still stuck on sample mode. I don't even know how to like make it go back to the multi-sample mode. But I'm pretty sure it's still stuck on that sample mode. So because I don't know how to reset that, let's just do it from here. See how that top note sounds way different than this one? Sounds like... Okay, so that's the one that's not multi-sampled. Here's the multi-sampled one. That's the difference between multi-samples. It's a pretty cool sound so far. Just add a little more reverb in here. Maybe some portamento. So I don't know what else to do with that sound outside of just add different effects. So that one I will save, but it's more of a, just like a tonal warp. Then something happened here. Yeah, something definitely glitched. Okay. Let's see if they fix this one. Oh, so this is still acting. I probably have to reset something. I don't know what I have to press though. So for that reason, I'm just gonna turn this off. I'll say play notes. So if you ever get discouraged with sound design, just understand it as like iterations instead of just trying to like make the best sound every single time. So for example, let's go to initialize preset. And what you could even do to start off as inspiration, go to their factory library and just start tweaking different things until you create your own unique sound, and then save that. When you're sound designing, it's really just about iterations over time, meaning you do something, change something else, and then you discover something else. That's how it works. Next, let's try, I saw some vinyl noise. Let me see if we could load up. Okay, so under S2 noises, we can go to vinyl crackle. It's pretty dope. Let's pull up some kind of multi-sampled guitar. Let's do pluck. And we want a nylon. Wait. Let's just do cheap nylon. Let's start adding some like cool effects we couldn't normally do. Let's do note on alternative. Destination oscillator A pan. Left and right bipolar mode. So now again, this plays left and right alternatively. So it makes us feel spread. Okay, so let's just turn the vinyl down a little. It's a pretty dope sound. Now again, when you're on a realistic sound, I'm not really trying to warp it too much. But again, my favorite thing to do is just start with frequency modulation. Let's do from B, because this adds a little bit more harmonic content to the sound. Now we're getting this really weird. It almost has like a plasticky sound to it, which I kind of like for this. Now I just want that plasticky sound to feel more like a rubber band snap. Let's give this a decay curvature. So it goes like whoop. So now it definitely sounds like a rubber band. Let's turn the vinyl down a little. So this is definitely a new sound. Let's go to the main. Let's see what else we could do here. So I'm going to stick with the basics. Chorus. Delay. Now normally, let's do it on the bus because I want to potentially automate this. I usually turn the wet levels all the way up. Let's go to oscillator, send it to the bus. Let's create a filter here with envelope 2. Let's give it a little more room. Now modulating it at a higher octave. Just pulling that pan range too. Let's also give this more of a release tail. There's really not much else to do to the sound. I think if we just pushed it further, it would just be... That's the difference between organic sounds and synthetic sounds, in my opinion. Synthetic sounds, you want to push it till you get to the craziest thing. With organic, you're just really trying to get the best recording for the organic sound. You're not trying to like manipulate it to sound like 1,000 different things. And that's what I've noticed about the difference between organic and synthetic sounds, just in my opinion. I even put that as the description. All right, so let's save this as a guitar, nylonish. And we should have actually gone to the mixer to take care of some of these peaks. So let's do that. Didn't realize we were peaking there. And for more of a Travis Scott vibe, I might add, you know, on the main track, some like a hyper chorus, but instead let's use unison. So if I wanted more of a Travis Scott type thing, I'd do that plus some vibrato over the fine tune to add that final like Travis Scotty type sound. Now we can also do that with effects in the mixer. Let's get this level right. To contain that, you know, spike, let's add a compressor because it's hard to tell the peaks on here. This is anything above -7, we'll just pull it down. Fast attack, fast release. Because there's some peaks I can't visually see. Really not much else to do on that sound. Again, you could just be messing with that for days. But again, it's about the recording in my opinion. It's good to initialize. Let's try something new. Let's do a bass sound this time. Because now we can get into the sub bass. Let's add the sub oscillator. -1. And I want to really mess with sine waves this time. Let's add another sine wave. An octave higher. Let's use the miscellaneous alternative warps here called quantize. This will basically downsample it. And then I want oscillator B as a sine wave to modulate oscillator 1. So that's the cool part. We have 2 warp modes. Let's have some kind of envelope spread the detune. Now let's also do the quantize effect on the first modulator and have that modulate. So I pull back some of the modulation because it's too... Let me do it the other way. So I don't know if you could do this before, but we can also modulate the sub coarse pitch. Okay, so now we need more vibrancy. Let's add some effects here. Just trying to get this tone right. Let's see if we can modulate this via the velocity. That'd be interesting. So based on how hard I hit the key determines the sustain minimum. Let's take that off because you can't even. Let's just take that off actually. Okay, so what we can do here is go to menu, resample to oscillator A. So now we have a new wavetable. Here's where it's going to get a little weird. Take off this quantize. That'd be dope to kind of switch that on and off. Let's do a square wave. And then we want the, I don't know how to set the range here. Let's, just like that. Let's just make this slower. All right, so now we are in weird territory. Okay, so now we need some kind of movement. Let's add a filter here. Just gonna pick some rhythmic filters because I don't feel like drawing these out. Add that over the cutoff. I like this, but I want it. There's like a certain tone I don't want. I'm trying to figure out what tone that is. So it's the FM. Let's add an envelope to the wavetable just to see. So I like this part of the sound. I don't really like the wavetable. So I might switch it back to, how do we reset the wavetable? Is there a way to do it? Save analog. I don't know how to reset back to default. So I'm just going to go to basic shapes. Sine wave sounds the coolest to me. So it's kind of weird, but I like this. I know it took a while to get here. More of like... All right, so what I did was I lowered this sound on oscillator A. So again, the key to the sound is this moving octave, but because we, used it in a very simple way to where you can't really hear that octave jump because of the filter, it just feels like it's a moving sound. So when you get deeper into sound design, it's really just about figuring out how to make a sound move and be more dynamic. And that's the hard part about sound design, is figuring out a way to make the sound move without it just always sounding like a filter or a low pass filter. Like there's other subtle ways to make a sound feel like it's moving. And that's the real hard part, I'll say, about sound design. All right, I'll just call it sound. I don't have a thought for that one. All right, let's do one more sound here because this video is almost 40 minutes. Okay, so let's do one more sound here. And again, I have no set thought. I just like to just start. So let's start with some noise this time. Switch it up a little bit. Let's go to colored noise. Let's go to white noise. Let's turn off the oscillator. So now we just have simple white noise. And the question is, how do we make this sound cool? So let's add an LFO over the, actually, let's remove that. Let's send the noise through the filter, hitting the N button, turn the filter on, and let's drag the LFO over the cutoff frequency. Let's have this do a fade down, a sawtooth going down, ramp down. Let's smooth it out a little bit to add a lot more resonance here. Actually, let's not do resonance. And then let's modulate this with a chaos filter. Let's go to LFO2, go to chaos, and then let's drag LFO2 over the panning of the noise. So now it's just like in different directions. Let's give this more curvature here. Let's make this faster. Okay, so I just want this to be a little bit bitier, so let's pull up that cutoff filter. All right, so that is the movement of the sound. Now let's start adding some more oscillators. Start messing with the phase. Add a little attack to this. Let's see what happens if we add oscillator A, B. Pretty dope sound, actually. Let's run this through a compressor so we don't have super clipping. Okay, so pretty cool sound so far. Let's go to oscillator A. Now we can make it too smeary by adding unison, but sometimes it just makes it overly smeary. And I want somehow for the cutoff to be controlled by the velocity, how hard I hit it. But also have the LFO movement, so it's very subtle, but if I hit, it's really hard to hear because of the LFO. But basically, if I hit harder, the note opens up the filter more. So we have a very wide sound. I'm going to go back to the unison and pull in the width here. Let's do monophonic mode. And also we could try doing a semitone for the fifth. Another way to make this oscillator feel like it's playing a fifth without actually doing it, let's do frequency modulation from the sub bass. Turn it on without any level. And we can kind of add more harmonics. And we could also give this an envelope. Let's do this. Now let's just turn these levels down a little bit. There we go. Let's make this LFO more sharp. I think there's a way to modulate even the curvature. So we can modulate the curve of the LFO1 bus. Let's modulate that by the velocity. So basically I can make this more concave or more convex depending on how hard I hit the key. And I can set this range. It's kind of, I don't know how to do it from here, but let's do the range from the matrix. So see how I play the LFO? I mean, how I play the velocity determines I also want the velocity over the level here. Just got to get the right tone, pardon me, with this FM. So I have some effects in here. Let's add them on the bus. Let's do our typical chorus. This time we're just gonna go chorus reverb, 100% wet level. And let's send these sounds to the bus. We also wanna give the effects on the mix level. Let's give these an envelope. This may or may not sound good, but let's try it. Envelope 3 will control the mix level. So basically I could set this to truncated. So if I let go of the key, I'm not seeing the movement on the reverb here. There we go. Okay, now let's just mess with the filter. Let's take off mono mode here. Also, the sounds are like super loud now. Let's go to the mixer. Forgot we have a compressor on. All right, so now we just got to get these levels right. Okay, it's a little bit of a buttery tone in the middle I got to get rid of. So in this case, what we could do, I think it's oscillator A. It might be these two. So B and C create this like smeary tone in the middle. Well, I'll just EQ the entire track, but usually I would separate this on a bus, but for this video, we'll just do it this way. Let's do a peak mode. Let's try to figure out where that frequency is. Okay, so it's definitely around 300. Somewhere around 3 and 250, so let's cut that. So again, normally I would separate that sound out, but let's just pull back the EQ a little bit. And we could also add the EQ before the compressor. Forgot we had the drive on. That might be causing too much harmonic distortion there. That would be a pretty cool sound. I also would like the filter to move over time. Maybe let's do a long LFO over the filter cutoff, something like this, and then make this the rate really slow. And then I do want the rate to change, but maybe we'll do that on a macro. So it's still super bright. We got to figure out why it's so bright. I think it's that EQ making it super bright. Yeah, let's pull this EQ back. I forgot we had it 12 dB. Let's just do 3. Looks like one of these sounds is not going through a filter. Hear that down? It's just there. Oh, maybe it's the bus. Maybe I didn't think about that. Maybe it's the bus signal. Let's turn that off. That's interesting. I wonder how we're gonna. How that goes to the filter. So for now, we're just going to keep the effects off. All right, there we go. Now I hear the filter more. this sound I would tweak a little bit more with the bus, because that way I don't know how to like turn the reverb off. I would have to automate it in the DAW. So for that case, I'll just save this one here. Pretty decent sound. Not the greatest sound because I still need to work with that filter, but we'll just say build up sound over time. Save, and let's call that like a pad. Super solid. So we came up with some decent sounds today. Let's go through all of them. Let's see where we started here. Let's go to where's it at here? User, what's today? 19. Started the bass. So this one's cool in like spurts. So that one's cool for like just a little ear gripping thing. Here's the choir. That one's decent. Okay, just more of a tonal shaping thing. And we had this guitar. Decent enough for a melody, would need more EQ. Here we did a pad that had a moving bus. This is my favorite sound that we created so far. Feels very The Weeknd-ish, Travis Scott. It just has a dynamic effects chain, and that's why it sounds dope. And the pitch changes over time. That's my favorite sound we made today, and then we have this one. This one's a little more, you gotta really know how to like use this in a mix. You know, you would kind of use that as a build-up sound, but again, it requires a little more automation on the resonance and different things. Okay, so you would need more movement on that one. Did we make this today? Let's see. That might be, yes, from a different video, but this one's kind of cool. So Serum can do a lot. I can't even wait to see what you guys sound design. The real secret though is seeing people mess with this multi-sample mode. I can't wait to hear you guys' sound packs and stuff you guys are gonna create. I'm going to end this video here just so it's not 1,000 years long. Peace out, guys. Subscribe if you're new. Go to busyworksbeats.com/premium if you want to learn how to sound design. Peace out, guys.